Hey, how's it going, everyone? It's Rich. Okay, I wanted to do a second pass on the introduction to cross-hatching video with brush that I did last night. It was really frustrating. Like I said, I mean, it's hard to understand when you watch, like, say, an 8 or 10 minute video, and you go, "Oh, it's out of frame," or like a section of it's blurry. I mean, I worked on that thing for like probably a couple of hours, and just every time I would shoot my camera, I don't know if it was because it was nighttime, it just couldn't stay focused on my hand. So I'm going to do an experiment today with daylight. I've got my curtain wide open to the side of me, and let's see what happens. Because if it's just the fact that, okay, at nighttime, if I'm going to try to shoot with my camera phone, it doesn't work, that's fine. I can live with that. But if it's a thing where during the day it's doing it too, then I need to know. I mean, yesterday I spent $30 getting my phone fixed because I had cracked the lens. So this is just a demo. We'll consider it less. I wouldn't call it less important, but you know what I mean? We'll play around with some lines. I want to see what my camera can do. If it shoots it good, then I'll add it up. But yeah, so last night, what I was trying to show is just a few simple hatches that you can do with a brush. But then if you watch any of, in particular, I would say the first two WRIGHTSON videos that I just put up, Open That Books, the Artifact Edition Part 1 and 2, that's where you're going to see the most hatching. As the book moves along, the next sections I went into didn't really have as much of the brush hatching, but I know that the cover gallery will. So Part 1 and 2, I would say, in particular Part 1, has some real nice like brush cross hatching. So yeah, anyway, so directions that you can throw the lines. One thing that I had recorded last night that didn't make it into the video that I posted. So what I do, I dip my brush in the ink, and I'll sharpen it. One technique that I kind of discovered last night, I was doing rendering with no line work down, so I was just kind of making up patterns and seeing what it would do, is this. So again, the arc lines, all equally spaced. They can get a little thicker as we go down here, just so that we create like a bit of a fade. And then just turn, so I threw all these like this. Turn the page like this, and then just throw another set in like this. And now I'm starting to move these a little tiny bit closer as I move down. And get them a little heavier. Okay, do you see that nice effect that gets? Now what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to throw another set in, and I've just rotated the page just the tiniest bit more. Again, you don't want to ever throw down a new set of lines that's really, really similar to the angle of the previous set, or even a set that you threw earlier, because what it ends up doing then is it starts to create mud. What you're trying to do is slowly cross out the white in a weird way. I guess not in a weird way, in a legitimate way. All right, I'm just going to... Okay, so that was the next set we did. So we're going to do this now. A little thicker, a little closer together. Okay? So here's 3 sets of line. I really hope that this is shooting clear. I said it was very weird. It was like the camera was focusing on my wrist and all kinds of weird stuff. So one thing that I think that I touched on, but I might not have in the video that ended up going up, is when you do a lot of rendering, the lines that are the most noticeable are going to be the ones that hang out at the bottom, meaning probably the lighter sets that are sort of leading into a dark area. So those are the ones that you're going to want to make kind of the most attractive and really kind of like lead a person into the fade. And I may grab my other examples in a second that I have in the other video. But as I start moving in and I'm starting to darken stuff, the only thing that's really going to be eye-catching in that area is if you mess up and you do something that's too dark before it's time or too light before it's time. But other than that, really the most important lines that you're going to throw on a fade are going to be these ones down here. That's what people like. That's the bait. They look at this and they go, oh man, those are really cool. And then you've got this killer fade that like maybe moves across your page, or maybe this whole section up here is black and all these cool lines lead into it. But I'm telling you, all the light stuff that hangs out at the edges, that's really, really what people will see the most. And as long as you don't do something super noticeable further up, they'll just see a lot of detail. And that's why I was saying in one of my in the render like WRIGHTSON video that Bernie at times, when he would get to the ultimate like end of the fade where it was starting to get super tight and super detailed, it didn't really matter what direction his lines were going. And I would notice, especially on the Swamp Thing stuff in particular, you know, he would just be like throwing in kind of thin stuff just to make sure that it fades well. You know, like if he saw like an anomaly that was reading too dark, then he would just kind of blend it in. So you're blending renders, and I'm keeping a really, really steady touch on the brush. Even when I'm going heavier, it's weird. I'm not moving my wrist. It's well, let's see. I'm going to really try to kind of analyze what I'm doing here. I'm keeping my hand very, very still, and the only motion is actually my wrist on these, but the pivot point is locked. Does that make sense? That it's like there's, like if this was a tool, the only way that it's going to move is this way. It's not going to go up and down or any other direction. I've got it like where it's just jung, 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 even pressure. And if I want to deviate the pressure, I can go thinner and thicker like this. And these were the blurry lines last night that I was showing were, I had lines going this direction into a fade, and that's what they look like, where they were thin to thick. And I was moving them this way into a fade, getting them heavier and more pointy. So I'm going to leave it at that. This is a 7-minute video. Absolutely go check out my Render Like WRIGHTSON Introduction into brush cross hatching. I think it's still a worthwhile video, although like I said, it was disappointing that there were some blurry parts. And then here, I can show it to you on this. So this was the example that I did. Okay, so I did this. This is what I call the simple Triscuit pattern. I did this, which is the simple Triscuit pattern with just a slight more arc on the lines. And then these lines were all equally spaced until they started to get a little closer together and a little thicker. These lines that are going this direction look like this, and these all stayed the equal distant apart this way, but would get heavier. And this is a hatch that you can use that's pretty nice. That's where it gets a little thicker as it moves down and closer together. This is a 1, 2, it looks like a triple hatch. So we've got lines going this way that were all equally distanced. These were all equally distanced, and the only lines that got thicker and closer together was this set that curved this way. Okay, and this one I put a fourth set of rendering, which were straight up and down. This was the one that I was mentioning that I'd seen WRIGHTSON do, where when he really wanted something to fade, he would do sort of more straight up and down lines that just really tapered like that, but were straight into the dark area. Okay, I hope that helps. Smash the like button, please. Check out my Patreon if you haven't. And yeah, get rendering with a brush. It's fun. You can do some really, really cool stuff. Okay, thanks. Bye.